Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'd like to take a look at some updated Dipplin decks from the set Prismatic Evolutions. So for those of you who don't know how this deck works, basically, it came around in the set Twilight Masquerade, and basically Dipplin has the ability Festival Lead, which essentially allows you to attack twice if you have the Stadium Festival grounds in play. Now, sadly, Dipplin's one attack isn't that impressive. Do the wave for a single grass energy, does 20 damage for each of your bench Pokemon, so pretty pitiful, not gonna lie. However, the deck is helped a lot by Thwackey. So Thwackey has the ability Boom Boom Groove, which says once in your turn, if your active Pokemon has the Festival Lead ability, you may search your deck for any card that you like and put it into your hand. So Thwackey is just in the deck to essentially find cards when you have Festival Grounds out in play. Now, sadly, Festival Grounds itself doesn't really provide much value. It prevents special conditions done to Pokemon which have energy attached to them, which can be quite nice against Cloth, admittedly, but aside from that, it's a very niche stadium and a very niche buff, which is a bit of a shame for the deck, really. Like, you would like it to have been maybe a damage modifier or some way to retrieve Pokemon, but aside from that, the deck runs fine, thanks to Thwackey. It's got great consistency. So, yeah. So these are new cards from Prismatic Evolutions. We've got Lilligant, which I think is probably the most important really to take a look at here. Basically increases your attack damage by plus 20, which is, of course, fantastic. You'll see in these lists they're not playing more than one Lilligant, just because, it's not really a Pokemon that you want to stack loads of them on the bench, because it will eat into your consistency, of course, but still a very worthy inclusion. Also got this new Seeking, which also has the ability Festival Lead, so this will work with Thwackey. But also just saying, if you have the Festival Ground Stadium in play, you can attack twice. And it has the attack Rapid Draw, which only does 60 damage, which is painfully 10 short of KOing most evolving basics like Ralts and I think it's Dreepy that evolves into Dragapult. So yeah, that's a wee bit annoying, and you can't use Lilligant to boost Seeking's damage either. So you have to use something like Vitality Band, I guess, if you want the extra 10 damage boost. But you do get to draw 2 cards, so effectively it's a draw 4 effect, kind of forcing your opponent to play an Iono, so that's quite nice. So yeah, Seeking's pretty decent. Also got this new card, Budew, which is a bit of a menace. For no energy, Itchy Pollen does 10 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand. So yeah, Budew is just here to buy yourself some more time, and because you play Bugcatcher set in the deck, then, Budew just makes a lot of sense, really. It's also a nice pivot to have. But yeah, this first list that we can take a look at here is playing all 3 of them. So Seeking, Lilligant, and Budew. Got a 2-1 line of Seeking, as well as a 1-1 line of Lilligant, and then 1 copy of Budew. No, what's it called? Karate Master, which is interesting. Karate Master is a new Sporter, which increases your attack damage by plus 40 for the turn, which I think would be pretty good in this deck, to be honest. But aside from that, nothing else that's new, which is, handy if you're just looking to get into the game. But yeah, 1-1 line of Rabaska just to kind of like attempt at least to deal with Dragapult and stuff like that. But pretty consistent overall. Things like Hyper Aroma, which is a pretty good ace spec for the deck, allowing you to search your deck for 3 different stage 1 Pokemon. Just really helpful because you can Arven for it as early as turn 2, really. So that's pretty useful. Max out on consistency as well with 4 Puffin, 4 Bugcatcher set. You have to rely on Ultra Ball, sadly, for Seeking, but bear in mind, if you have a Goldeen in the active spot, because Goldeen does have Festival Lead as well, you can still use Thwackey to find Seeking if you really wanted to, which is cool. So yeah, that's quite nice. Honestly, a very solid list overall. There's not really much about this that I would change, really. So anything I would openly change. I think Thwackey and Lilligant both having a retreat cost of 2 is a wee bit annoying. So I would maybe say more than 1 switch, but this person obviously felt it wasn't necessary. But yeah, just something to bear in mind in case your opponent tries some annoying boss stall shenanigans. But yeah, pretty solid list overall. Then we see this next list, removing Seeking altogether, kind of swapping it out for a 1-1 line of Bibarel, which is fair dues. Like, Bibarel is quite a nice draw engine. Again, relatively high retreat cost. Is this list playing any switch? It's playing 1 switch, fair enough. Yeah, I would still play 2 switch, just to be safe. But yeah, this list is also a bit risky for some other reasons, like it's only playing 4 grass energy. Personally, I would like to see like 5 or 6, really. Also, neither of these lists are playing Super Rod, is that correct? Yes, okay, so neither of them are playing Super Rod. playing Night Stretcher instead and Lana's Aid. Personally, I kind of prefer the items to act as recovery, just because you play Arvin anyhow, but interesting enough, I could also see this list running, although actually, to be honest, this list might have been made prior to the EV set releasing in Japan, because it features Lilligant, but it doesn't feature the likes of Budyu, so I guess the two Kieran kind of makes sense in this instance. So maybe they're playing Kieran over Karate Master because Karate Master wasn't released, or Black Belt, I think it's called. It's one of the two. But yeah, I would probably remove Kieran for a Black Belt Karate Master thing. Although, having said that, I guess Kieran is acting as another switching card. Was there Kieran in the previous list? Yeah, there was one Kieran there. Okay, so I guess Kieran is additional switch outs if you need it to be, which is quite cool. So yeah, decent options overall. Also, the spec of choice in this deck is Maximum Belt over Hyper Roma, which is interesting. I personally prefer Maximum Belt in this deck. I think you don't have too much of an issue setting up your Pokemon. So just having a plus 50 modifier to work with at least once per game can be worth it. So yeah, and the deck profile that I did for Dipplin when the deck actually released in Twilight Masquerade all those months ago, I was running Maximum Belt in my list. It just helped out in so many situations. But yeah, honestly, for this list though, I would still try and max out Bug Catching Set. I just think the card is really, really good in this deck. Also, I'd probably go to 5 Grass Energy. Counting Cologne is interesting, but I'm not sure if it's really that necessary if you're just going to play one of it. So yeah, it's an interesting list overall, but maybe some things I would tweak around with in the end. And maybe not Rumpy Barrel. I think you should just lean to Thwacky, but that's just my 2 cents. But yeah, thank you for watching. So the translation has it as Black Belt's practice. It might be something slightly different in the end, like Karate Master or whatever, but during this turn, attacks used by your Pokemon do 40 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. So you don't get like the switch effect that Kieran offered, but you still get the plus 40 modifier, which is pretty big. So definitely a card to look out for and maybe experiment with in Dipplin. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think down below. It's been Power. And yeah, thank you for watching.